Sanbonan once more. Kamalam Nguspusiso Kanyile. Today we're going to tackle the topic called the financial maths. This is a very interesting topic. It deals with real life issues where people borrow monies from the bank and they have to pay interest, or whether people go and invest. It's either for a child's education or for retirement. And we need to see what happens in real life problems when you borrow or you go and invest your money at a particular institution. We must remember that most banks, they take their interest over years, but at times you'll find that interest will be compounded maybe monthly or quarterly and so on and so forth. It is important that we should understand that this section is divided into 4 subsections. The first part that is very important here is called the simple interest. It has a formula which is A is equals to P into 1 plus or minus I times N. This is the formula that we'll be using when we talk about the simple interest. The second part that we'll talk about is called the compound interest. Compound interest. I put a star here because we use this one a lot in our exams and in our syllabus. So the compound interest becomes very important. The simple interest, you use it mostly in your grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. But once you go to grade 11 and 12, you'll mostly be using the compound interest, which formula is A is equals to P into 1 plus I raised to the power n. This formula is very important. That's the first part that I want us to look at. After this section, we'll be moving to the third part, which I called annuities. The first one is called the future value. Future value. I will use FV. This is the formula for the future value. FV will be equals to X into 1 plus I raised to the power n minus 1. This is all over I. This is another important formula which talks about the future value. We'll come back to each and every one once we finish all 4 of them. The next subtopic under the topic, the maths of finance, is the last one called the present value, PV. P is for present, F is for the future. PV will then be equals to X, which are installments, into 1 minus into 1 plus I raised to the power minus n. Close your bracket, this is all over I. It's important that we should take note of certain things here. These are the 4 formulae, certain things here. Simple interest, it might be plus or minus. If the amount of money that I have at the moment, and I'm putting it into a particular bank, it will go up. If it goes up, it is plus. But at times you might have a car. A car will depreciate after a certain period of time. So if you're dealing with the compound decrease or simple decrease, it will be minus here. If what let's talk about these variables that are there. In particular, I will be using the compound interest, which we'll be using most often. What is this A, which is the same as that one? What is this P, which is the same as that one? And so on and so forth. This type of compound interest, it will yield more interest than the simple interest, because this one will grow exponentially. Now watch. This A stands for the total amount at the end of investment period. Suppose you take a particular amount of money, you invest it at the bank for a certain period. The money that you'll get at the end, after it has gained interest, we refer to it as A. A is the total amount at the end of the investment period. What is P then? P is the principal amount. P for principal amount, A for total amount at the end of the investment period. I'm saying P is the principal amount or the capital, the money that I'm going to deposit it at a particular bank, so that the bank will give me interest, then I'll get something more at the end of the investment period. What is this I? The I there is the interest rate. Banks will charge different kinds of interest depending on that particular bank. At times they will charge you 9%, 12.5%, and so on and so forth. So this I stands for the interest rate. And N stands for the number of years. Even though I personally don't want to call it the number of years, I say the number of times that the interest were compounded or were put into that investment. So we'll talk about I and N a lot in this particular section. Coming to this other one, I'm saying the first part, in fact, when you go to your examinations, you'll see two sections. The first section will be doing with the top part, which is either the compound interest or the simple interest. 99.9% will be talking about the compound interest. Number two, the second part, which we call them annuities. Remember, if I invest a particular money, I will get it in future. Yes, if I put a particular sum of money into a particular bank, I'll leave it there for a certain period, and in future I will be getting more money. But if I buy something like a car, as I said before, it will depreciate. So if it increases, it will be plus. If it depreciates, it will be minus. Like a house, for example. If I buy a house this year, after 5 years, the value of that house will be much more higher. Hence, I will use positive there, plus compound increase and compound decrease. Coming to the future value. Future value is also the amount of money that you get in future, just like this one. You put a particular amount of money, you leave it there. You don't put any other amount until the end of the investment period. The difference between this future value and this future value is that in this particular future value, it's where you put some installments every month. So this X stands for the installments. Suppose you take an education policy for your child or whatever investment or a retirement annuity, you'll be paying in a particular installment every month. So this value of X stands for those particular installments that will be paying every month. I, as I said, it is the interest rate. N is the number of years. I is also the interest rate. This is the formula that the banks will use to find if I'm putting a particular amount of money every month, how much will I get after a certain period of time. Present value. What is the present value? I said the future value is the money that is not with me. I'm putting a certain money at the bank, and the money is not with me at the moment. I will only get this amount of money when in future. Hence, we call it the future value. I deposit a particular amount of money every month so that in future I will get a certain sum, maybe for my child's education or for my retirement. But it is important that you must understand that there are certain things that happen when we miss the installments. But we'll come into that when we do our examples. Coming to this fourth one, it is called the present value. Present value. It means that it's the value that I have at the present moment. For example, if I take a loan at the bank, where is the loan? The loan will be with me. In other words, I have this amount of money with me now. So we refer to that, the loan, as the present value. I have it now. I'm paying for them with these monthly installments, even if the money is with me. I'm paying back the loan. So it's called the present value because I have that amount of money now, but I'll be paying installments every month, repaying this loan. So this is the formula that we use for remember that because we owe, we use minus there as well. I want us to understand something. Suppose we have a particular bank that charges 12% per annum. Let's say the interest rate is 12% per annum. 12% per annum. Now that's for the whole year, this bank will charge the interest rate of 12%. But at times you'll find things like, let's say per annum, yearly. Yearly. We said N. I want you to understand what happens between N and I. N and I. In all of this formula, N and I. Right. Suppose they say they're going to charge 12% per annum. And in 1 year, how much will they charge me? Yearly, in 1 year. How much will they charge me? In 1 year. They will charge me 12% per annum. The same bank said, no, we're not going to put this interest over a year. We want to put it over 6 months. In other words, I want you to understand the significance of N. In 1 year, they put the interest once, so it will be 12%. But what if we change and don't put the interest over a period of a year? We put it every 6 months. What happens for every 6 months? All right, how many times have we put this interest in 1 year? When we put interest every 6 months, how many times have we put it? Remember that it was 1 it was it was per year, it was 12%. But if you put interest now every 6 months, what will be the interest rate there? It will not be 12% anymore. It will be 6% for the first 6 months and 6% for the next 6 months. What happened? This 12%, I've divided it by 2. This 6%, this 12% I divided it by 2. So it was 12, we divided it by 2 because I'm putting it every 6 months, not once a year now. So this then will give me 6% every 6 months. But how many times am I going to put this interest per year? Per year, I'm going to do it twice now. I'm going to put it every 6 months. So this will be 2. Now watch here. There is always a relationship between what I multiply with and what I divide with. If I divide by 2 here, meaning that I will be putting it every 6 months, I will be multiplying by 2 this side. So there's always that relationship there. If n, in fact, it's changing it into the number of times that you are putting the amount of money. So that's why I always say, let us not only see this as the number of years, because this is in 1 year, but we've just put interest twice. So this actually tells us how many times did we put the interest in that particular transaction. Now watch, if we say now, not 6 months, let's say quarterly. Let's say quarterly. Every quarter. So what do we do there? So you take this one, you multiply it by 4, which will give you 4. Then you take the 12%, which was the original, you divide it by 4, so that you are going to have 4 into 12, 4, 8, 12, 3%. Now, if they say, for an example, we're going to compound this interest monthly, every month. How many months do we have in a year? We've got about 12 months in a year. So if for the total number of, for the whole year, it is 12% per annum. How much percentage are we going to put every month so that at the end of the year we've got 12%? We're going to have 1% each. So in other words, if the I was 12%, and I'm going to put the interest every month, so I need to divide this by 12 such that I get 1% for every month. Remember, whenever I divide by 12 there, I've got to multiply it by 12 this side. Remember, it was per annum 1, so I multiply it by 12 to get 12. Right. So I'm going to put these interests 12 times in 1 year, but those will be 1%, so that over the whole year, it will come back to that 12%. It is important that we should be able to take note of that. There's a relationship that happens between I and n. When I divide by 2 on my I, I've got to multiply by 2 on my n. So that becomes crucial. Once we get hold of that information, we'll be able to answer any question that we have in our financial maths. Remember, this part also work there and also work here. Once we grasp that, that part will never go wrong in our financial maths. From here on, I want us to look at a few problems. We'll start with exams questions exactly after this point. Thank you.